So the purposes of this group, what is it for, and the kind of the approach. And it's also, everything is condensed in the title, Circle of Being Shadow Work Group. The purposes of this group ultimately is for us to be at peace, to have inner peace, and to be happy. Happy not in like, I'm so happy, it's amazing, but it's a sense of contentment, inner peace, inner harmony, inner sense of freedom, and to enjoy our life, and to, I would say, inner peace and freedom. So that's the purpose. Now, the context is that, the philosophical context is that what we really are, our true self, our true identity is already whole and complete. It is, our true self is that which is aware right now. This sense of being, this presence, it is whole and complete, it's not broken, it is not unworthy, it is not traumatized, it is divine aware being. So from one angle, what we really are, our true self, doesn't need psychotherapy, doesn't need shadow work, doesn't need anything. We are at the ultimate level of identity, awesome. However, we don't experience that. So what's happening for our life is that actually from the womb, straight up, we get a full download of all the prejudices and the emotions and the emotional states and moods and pains and traumas of our parents. They are coming into us. And then, depending on the states of the mother when we were in the womb, then we get all kind of information. And then as soon as we come into this world, we are absorbing all the inner conflicts and the tensions and the stuff in our family of origins and then in our society. And then right away, so basically we are unknowingly like download of programs and feelings and beliefs about ourselves, about the world, about safety, about trust, about worthiness. So we receive this flood of programming. This programming gets now thicker and thicker as we are kind of instructed by society, by school. We are taught what it means to be a man or a woman, what to be, how not to be, and our parents, and then also we copy unconsciously all the weaknesses and patterns of our parents. And on top of that, what they say, also I forgot to say, in this group, so I say a lot of stuff, but don't believe what I'm saying. So that's not church, doesn't need faith, it's not a religion. So just be open and try to check for yourself. That's very important. So be open, check for yourself, don't believe me. Okay, so coming back to what I was saying is that on top of all this conditioning, we also have some sages speak about it. We have this some samskaras, which are some kind of patterns and pains and tendencies, weaknesses that might have come from another life. It's worth to be saying. And sometimes they're strong tendency we have, we don't even know what's that about. We carry them from other existences. Also, through the process of life in the first 10, 15 years, but for 6-10 years, basically, depending on the environment where we are, this affects us deeply and how we are treated. So if we are lucky, and it's kind of rare case, we are in an environment where the parents are loving and they're really feeling us and are tuning into us, and they are not putting us down, criticizing us, beating us, shouting at us, abandoning us, being drunk or on meth. So the ideal situation is like a loving environment where with lots of physical contact in the first 2 or 3 years, and then just loving, supportive, unconditional love. So if this were the case, then we have much less work to do. We still get programmed with a lot of shit, and then still we have work to do. But now, many of us, we are not so lucky, and so in the early years, we meet with absence of love. Not because our parents were bad, but because they themselves are the effect of unlovingness and lack of being programmed. So the more unlovingness we are exposed to, like being put down, criticized, controlled, beaten, punished in a bad way, any negativity, judgment, then this really creates some wound, hurts, or somebody turned bleeding or unstable or drunk. This affects very much, and it's like a big ouch, a repeated series of ouches into the psychic and the energy body and the nervous system of the child. And so that forms negative beliefs about ourselves, about the world, about safety, about it's not safe to be myself, it's not safe to trust, it's not safe to express myself, it's not safe here. So we develop the worse, the more unlovingness, the more we develop what's called negative core image or deficiency story, where subconsciously we have this thing that somehow I'm bad, I'm unlovable, I am unworthy, I'm broken, there's something wrong with me, or something. To your surprise, many people we all carry to some degree some percentage of that. And then it's more like subconscious. We don't actively have these thoughts, although some of us, they are actively, all this inner judge, inner critic kind of jabs at us. All this negative core image, negative beliefs about ourselves in the world. So there's the thought component, but it comes with a lot of feelings. It's not just a thought, it's a feeling system. So it's feeling like shit, and feeling bad, and feeling lonely, feeling sad, feeling we don't know what we feel, and it feels bad. And then due to this, many people go later into addictions, because they are bad or immoral, but because addiction is a way to escape somehow, not to feel anymore this, and then to have some respite from that. So, all right. The next level is that we have the strong resilience. The child, they have a strong resilience, and even if there's a lot of shit environment and a lot of abuse, somehow we survive. We adapt, develop some way of some strategy of being, like, become tough, don't feel anything, or show them, or I become like secretive, or I become like very nice, and very pretty and very funny, or I become withdrawn or guarded, or I excel now, I'm getting straight A's, So all these are adaptations that the child survives, and in order to survive in a loving environment, it becomes different. And in the hope that if that strategy will make us safe or will get us some love, and that's a good strategies. But later they become who we are. It's the ego, the false personality, and then they become stronger and stronger, and then at some point we start having more and more problems. And so, as I said before, our true self is whole and complete divine being, doesn't need any therapy, peace itself. However, due to all this that I described, we have a lot of shit on top. We with which we identify, it feels like me, and then they start to show up as addictions, as unfulfillment, problematic situation recurring, inability to have a good relationship, self-sabotage, anxiety, depression, whatever, PTSD. So that's where we start, all of us, basically, to a bigger chunk of that or a lesser chunk of that. And so, circle of being, shadow work, release. Shadow work, it's a fancy word for unconditioning ourselves, basically unprogramming all those beliefs and also letting go of all the pain connected to those beliefs and those imprints. Yeah, so shadow work is to, and in order to do that, to unprogram and let go, we can't do that if we are unconscious and asleep. So that's basically the shadow work is becoming conscious of what's in our basement. Our basement, the subconscious, the unconscious. And through this inner exploration and witnessing, becoming aware of this stuff that many of them at the beginning we don't even know where I have this and what's happening. Through this process of becoming more conscious of this stuff, and somehow they kind of bubble up and they release themselves with the right tools and skillful means. So we are kind of gradually, through seeing, you know, we see gradually that these beliefs are not true actually. This is bullshit. This is like this formed, this belief was formed because something happened and a 4-year-old in me believed that, and actually it's not actually true. And we also release a lot of this so-called pain body. Pain body is a word I use from Eckhart Tolle, which is accumulation of kind of pain in all our life, as well as pain of our parents that we, even science discovered that with rats, that like traumatic events in the life of a rat, they are transmitted in sperm cells 3 generations. So basically we, generations. Yeah, generational trauma, you know, it's kind of scientifically studied, and so
they call it epigenetics.
Right. So we kind of loosen, and the bigger this pain body and thicker it's hard. So through this shadow work, we're kind of start to loosen up these things and release some of that. And it's like less and less of this. And so our personal pain, inherited pain, there's also cultural pain, you know, and pain body in the country, you know, genocide, war, oppression, and all that. Anyway, we start with our personal life first, so don't worry about the other aspects. And yeah, so this is the shadow work. Now, circle of being. So basically, this work cannot be done if we are just in the usual state of just going with each thought and being lost in past and future. You know, it cannot be done. So in order for that material to come up to the surface, actually, because that material for our own protection, especially we had a lot of shit in childhood and all that, and things happen, or war or veteran, that's all kind of locked in. It's locked in because it was too painful to bear. So it's locked and sealed in the subconscious, and then everything is on top and for our own protection. And however, as we develop this ability to witness and to become more conscious, then our system wants to heal itself. You know, just like when you cut, we have this program that comes and heals the wound. The same way, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, we have the same mechanism of self-healing. But this activates only when conditions are right. So the more conscious we become, then now we have tools how to do with these old pains and this or that. So stuff come up. We start to remember things. We start to you know, empty the basement. So the circle of being aspect is this aspect of more like usually is connected with spiritual work, people who want to reach God or attain enlightenment or do meditation. So it's connected to this type of work of developing presence, developing ability to remain aware, to watch. So it's like turning the light on. In order to empty and clean up the basement, we need to have some light on. But in this metaphor, the light is more like a light that burns out the stuff in the basement. So it's, this light is this consciousness which dissolves the stuff. So this group combines these two different approaches. Usually people often they focus on just subconscious processing, but not so much developing presence or ability to witness. And there is some work that is helpful. This is in the usual standard psychotherapy or some other modalities. Yeah, it loosen up a little bit, but not you can't really get free. There are some other people who go a lot into meditation and this kind of transcending and light and all that, where they develop ability to be very aware and quiet the mind and have great states, but they don't go to the subconscious. They don't open the coffers there, and then that gets blocked too. So from my personal experience and all that I studied, work with people, both need to happen. So that's why in our groups we have these two components happening side by side. Developing ability to be more conscious, witness stuff, and stuff come up and we explore, investigate the subconscious. Yeah, so operationally, I wear the hat of a therapist. However, I was into this stuff for many years before even I knew what word therapist means. And so here it's a combination, saves you guys a lot of time. It's a hybrid blend of many spiritual, psychological systems like Buddhism, Zen, the fourth way, it's a spiritual pathway. This ancient Indian called Advaita non-duality, Advaita Vedanta, as well as somatic work, somatic psychotherapy, shadow work. Yeah, so this psychotherapy thing is more like on top for me, but I've been truth seeker and interested in meditation and stuff like this since I was a kid, and I've done a lot of stuff and did a lot of mankind project work, which I recommend for guys, and then worked in prisons with inmates. And so what I bring here is like what I find to be the cutting the fluff, and bringing what I find to be more useful and practical to achieve these purposes of unconditioning, for the purposes of actually, once we uncondition all this stuff, the idea is that as if we have a lot of clouds and the sun is there, but we can't feel the sun because there's too many clouds. We can't see it, we can't feel it. But the more we uncondition, the more the sun will shine. And so the more we uncondition and release, the more we are going to feel better. And we reclaim our natural state of inner peace and okayness, spontaneity, freedom, and all that. And for the group, I encourage you to, we use this acronym when we share, we speak, and then when we finish speaking, we say aho, aho, which is, from Native American tradition. But there's also this acronym of authentic, honest, and open. And so it will make more benefit if you are kind of real and honest and open. Of course, I know you need to develop trust and all that, but try to be that as much as you can. I think that's it with the context, and Maybe we'll go to the bathroom if you guys in the bathroom, and then let's come back soon and we'll go into a little meditation. Yeah. Or I can go to the bathroom at least.